I'm Dr. Peter Valentine. I'm chair of the Forensic Science Department at the University of New Haven, and I specialize in crime scene reconstruction and crime scene investigation. The first thing that strikes me as curious is the fact that 7 sets of remains have been found over the span of 2 months. Um, that in and of itself is rather curious. It's certainly a lot to find in a little, and it's a large number of human remains to find in a short period of time. And so whether that is the product of a directed search in particular areas because there's a belief that more remains will be found, we can't know because that information is not public at this point, or whether or not there's information to suggest that there's a reason to search or that information is not publicly available. From the information that has been made publicly available, it certainly suggests that some of the remains are skeletonized or certainly degraded to the point where there's very little available with which to make even tentative identifications, such that, there's a female between the ages of 40 or approximate age of 40 to 60. So with that wide of a range, you can only imagine in what poor condition the remains are. So that certainly suggests that even though these remains were found within the last 2 months, at least some of them have been in a state of decomposition for a period of time. Now, forensically speaking, the only way that you could say with any degree of confidence that these cases were related would be to find some kind of physical evidence that would allow you to connect a person or an object to more than one site. And I think most people would recognize that the most definitive item of evidence would be DNA. You'll find items that are likely to have human DNA on them. If we were to find the same human DNA at more than one location, does that mean that the same person is involved? Well, it really depends on how far away those scenes are from each other and where are those scenes, right? What kind of activities take place at those scenes? Are these places where prostitution occurs? Are these commuter lots? You'd have to know a little bit more about where these remains were actually recovered. Now, even if you had similar activity, that's not necessarily indicative by itself of the same criminal, right? If it's vague enough, or if it's not specific enough, I don't think you could use that alone to say that you have the same offender, right? You really would want to at least entertain the possibility that you could have multiple offenders committing the same kind of crime in multiple places. As a detective, you do speculate, right? You make logical leaps with, not a lot of information at your disposal, and that's what we should be doing, right? That's what, we see a lot with a little. But at some point, you need to then supplement that with additional information. So could these groups be a source of useful information? I think that's a possibility. Are these groups also potentially a source of wild theories that have very little grounding in, the information that actually does exist? I'm sure that's true as well.